Hello, this is I Do Damage and welcome back to the channel. In this Roundguard video, I want to do a game review and share my thoughts if I think it's worth the price tag. Before we start, I want to let you know I did receive a copy of the game for free from the developers, and I just played around for a few hours and thought the game was pretty cool and interesting, so that's why I wanted to make this video to talk about it. Roundguard is a Peggle roguelite game made by Wonderbelly. It came out on March 13th, 2020 with a price tag of $19.99. It's on Steam as well as console. Before we talk about what you can expect to get for $19.99, I want to take a minute and explain something about this game and the idea of it all. Peggle is a game that I've been playing for years. It's one of those casual games that I'll boot up, play for a little bit, play with my kids, we'll have maybe a family night and play some Peggle. And I've always kind of wondered what it would look like with an RPG twist. Because Peggle, you already have like special abilities and things like that, but you can't level up or get armor or weapons or anything. And Wonderbelly has done that. And I'm just so happy that a game company was brave enough to try this idea. I think it's really interesting. And if you can't tell by now, Peggle is where Roundguard got a lot of inspiration from in the way that the game plays. One last thing you should know, Roundguard is a roguelite game. So when you die for good and have to start the entire game over. You do get one item that you can carry into your next run that is purely random, but we'll talk about it more in the video. Let's go ahead and start, shall we? Roundguard offers three classes, the Warrior, Rogue, and Wizard, just like you would expect in any RPG. The Warrior has more health, decent damage, not very much mana, which mana in this game is required to do skills and abilities, which can be very powerful later on. The Rogue offers less health, the same amount of damage, but more mana, so you can do more abilities. Side note, the Rogue is my #1 favorite class. It has an ability called Double Jump, where when you drop down, if you use 10 mana for Double Jump, you can shoot your character back up. So you can essentially save yourself by doing that and manipulate the map in pretty fun and interesting ways. The Wizard is, as you would expect, less health, not so much damage, but a lot of mana. And this is really fun because the Wizard has a lot of interesting abilities and skills that I won't spoil for you. Now, let's talk about progression and each run. Since the game is a roguelike, it's run-based progression. There really isn't much outside of the runs that carry over. But we'll talk about that again here in a little bit. So, in-game progression looks like this. You have the currency gold. Gold has two functions. It decides your place on the leaderboard, and think of gold as more of like your score or your points. There's no shops, like you can't go spend your gold or anything. It'd be really cool if you could, but that doesn't exist in the game yet. I don't know if it ever will. Gold also is used for the Wheel of Wonder, which on your map you'll see there's intermissions that you can come across. When you get there, you'll do the Wheel of Wonder. It's a random wheel that you spin and it'll pick slots that you can land on. And it's all random. It's very an RNG heavy game. But the more gold that you've earned, you can unlock more slots, and then if you have them all unlocked, you unlock higher quality slots to get better relics for your run. And your gold is not consumed during this, it just keeps adding up each time you encounter the wheel. So like I mentioned, relics. Relics are items that you get that change the way things work. So there's some ones that maybe make you do more poison damage, or whenever you hit an enraged enemy, they take double damage. Fun things like that. The relics are really interesting and kind of what really make your character stronger throughout gameplay. You also have armor, weapons, and skills, which we'll talk about. But first, you can level up your character by killing monsters, which you have to kill monsters in order to complete a level. Leveling up doesn't do much. It gives you a little bit more, I think, max HP and health and maybe attack. The other items that make your character kind of your own and fun and interesting is the armor, weapons, and skills. Let's go ahead and talk about armor real quick. Works just as you would expect. There's no actual armor value in the game. Instead, it's all health. So it's your health pool. The more health, the more hits you can take, the more monsters you can kill, things like that. Armor also has more interesting things on it in the form of maybe you have some of them have like mana burn resistance or poison resistance. They pretty much just make you fully immune to that, which can be really, really helpful. And there's also other interesting affixes as well. I'll let you discover all the fun stuff for yourself. I really don't want to spoil too much. Weapons have obviously more damage, or attack is what it's called in this game. And they also have other abilities where if you, on the Rogue for example, If you use a skill, you shoot out 2 daggers that do an X amount of damage. And also, weapons and armor do have levels attached to them. You can't level them up, but when you find them, they'll have a level attached to it. So the deeper you are in the dungeon, in theory, you'll find higher level items, which increases the stats. They do the same thing if it's the same named item. It's just higher stats for the higher level, obviously. And last but not least, you have skills. Skills are interesting in the fact that you can only have 2 equipped at a time, and they do cost mana to use, as I mentioned earlier. But as you go throughout the dungeon, there's a lot of different skills. I still don't think I've seen them all. I think I played for maybe 3 or 4 hours and haven't even discovered every single item or skill. So that's always keeping me on my toes. The skills can really add a lot to the game. Real quick, the warrior has a spin attack where you can actually spin and you go through the peg, so that can help out with that. The wizard probably has one of the coolest skills that I've seen. You have these lightning bugs on the sides of the walls that are tethered to your body, and it's indicated by a line. And whenever you use this lightning skill, lightning shoots through that line and damages everything in the path. So that's really cool. The rogue, you can get an archer type ability where you shoot an arrow at people, and then you can get one where it's a multi-shot, different things like that. The skills, weapons, and armor are really interesting. The last thing I want to know about those 3 items is once you find a new one in the dungeon, so if you find a new armor or weapon, you have to decide if you want to equip it or sell it. You can't save it and swap to it later. You have to decide if it's an upgrade or not, and if not, you just get gold for it. And then with skills, like I said, you can have the 2 equipped. If you find a new one, you can either equip it to one of your 2 slots or sell it. You can't hold on to stuff and save it for later. So now that you know about the classes and run progression, let's talk about gameplay. I gotta say, the art style and just the feel of the Peggle type of mechanics is really smooth, and they have so many little details on things. When you like bounce off the wall or open up a chest, all the little aesthetics and art, I gotta say, hats off. It looks really pretty, and it's really makes it more fun. But let's talk about the actual gameplay here, and that is a level. So the way the game's broken up is you have these levels you work through and you advance through. It's like a dungeon crawler. If you've ever played Slay the Spire, it's the same type of map. Instead of working from the bottom up, you're working from the top down, which makes sense since it's a Peggle type of game, right? But you can decide which rooms to go through and kind of the path you want to take and find different types of rooms. So when you're in an actual level, the only way to progress to the next level and move on to the next room is to kill all the monsters in there. There's also gold jars that you can get to farm up some gold. There's health potions to heal, mana potions to gain your mana back. Many other types of pegs as well. I won't spoil it all for you, but there's quite a bit there. And then once you've shot your character, you've gone down through the pegs, there's spikes at the bottom with a cushion protecting the spikes. So if you manage to land on that cushion, you just don't take damage from the spikes and then move on to your next turn. So it's really a good idea to try to do that. And if you happen to miss the cushion, you hit the spikes and they do deal damage to you. So it makes sense that you want to hit the cushion. The other thing to note here is you'll notice the cushion is actually on this board type thing. If you hit the edge of the board, it'll actually bounce you off into the spikes. 9 times out of 10. It can either, it can bounce you into the wall and then end up back on the cushion. Types of things like that you would expect with the Peggle type of game. But anyway, as I mentioned, there are different types of rooms and you have to progress. There's different acts. That's how the game's broken up. I don't know how many acts are in the game because I've only gotten to the Act 2 boss. If I had to guess, maybe 3 acts. I don't know. I don't know exactly how many. But the bosses are pretty challenging. I think the game's pretty challenging overall, really, for me personally. But so as you work your way through, you'll go to different rooms, and the ones that have like a sword, a blue book, or an armor icon are your treasure rooms. Those don't have any monsters. You just work your way through, basically get gold, stuff like that, and then your treasure, and then you move on to the next room. So those you definitely want to look out for to get higher on the leaderboard and stuff like that. But there's other ones, there's boss rooms too, which can be pretty hard. There's ones where they just straight up like snipe you and you have to try to kill them real quick, or I mean, it's hard. Some of the rooms are insane. And then the last thing to know on the map and working your way through is the Wheel of Wonder. You'll come across this during the intermission, which is indicated by a red line that says intermission on it. Since you're kind of like playing through an act or you're in a play or something, which is kind of odd to me, but I like to think of it more as dungeons I'm crawling through. But when you hit the intermission, you'll find this Wheel of Wonder, and that's where your gold that you've gained decides how many slots open up, and the random wheel spins to give you a relic. Now, when you die, when you run out of health, your health hits 0 and you die. The game ends and you have to start over all the way back at Act 1. But when you die, it'll take you to the leaderboard, and then you'll go back and you'll end up on the Wheel of Wonder, and it'll spin and pick out a random relic that you can carry into your next game. And it just gives you one relic. You don't decide or anything. It's purely RNG. So the game overall is very RNG heavy and very luck based with that. So let's go ahead and talk about my final thoughts on the game and if it's worth the price tag of $19.99. I'm going to be blatantly honest here. I do feel that $19.99 is a bit steep for this type of game. Then again, it's not an early access or beta or anything like that, so maybe it's a fair price. It really just depends how much you like roguelikes. This game does offer different types of playstyles, anywhere from me, which is more of just kind of kicking back, maybe playing with my kids for a little bit, trying to see how far I can get, stuff like that, all the way to pushing up to the leaderboards. They even have leaderboards for speed runs, so if that's kind of your thing, I would say the price tag might be worth it for that. Really, I'd be more comfortable if it was more in the $14.99, like just a $5 difference, but really at the end of the day, I gotta say, overall the game's fun. If you like roguelikes and you enjoy the Peggle type of thing, and you're like me and always kind of wondered what it'd look like, it's definitely worth checking out, guys. Overall, it's a great game to just chill, kick back, maybe play with the family, do a run, maybe take a break from the game you're grinding to just check this game out or something like that. Definitely has a lot of interesting ideas, and I'm really happy that someone took the Peggle RPG idea and brought it to life. I think that's really cool. And really, I want to wish Wonderbelly the best of luck with their game. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to see new videos every Monday and Friday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.